Hello, I thought I'd read you another section from my latest book, Postcards to the Future. This section is called Astrology is a Load of Old Rubbish. Please, not that tedious old trope again. I know it's not like me to rant. Those of you good folk who call by my blog regularly know that. However, I feel like a bit of a rant today. What about dismissers? That's what. Normally, I view this response to astrology with weary resignation. However, a recent airing of that tedious old astrology is a load of old rubbish trope really got under my skin. How I wish that people would spend some time in studying subjects which have been a vital part of human experience for thousands of years, rather than displaying their profound ignorance of those very subjects in the public realm. I know of what I speak, being a reformed dismisser myself. Readers of this blog may recall the tale of my being stopped in my tracks by a startling prediction made as a result of an encounter with astrologers in a laundrette in Bath, England, of all places, that I would in fact become an astrologer too. You can find the full story in the Fate section of the book. Moving from ignorant dismissal of a tradition going back at least 6,000 years to gradual acceptance of its validity based on study and experience was one of the most profound and humbling processes of my entire life. I used to like the word skeptical. For me, it meant not accepting anything on trust, but being prepared to consider the evidence, not just of accepted facts, but also of experiential evidence, which to me and much of the world's population, including open-minded scientists like Professor Bernard Carr, Professor of Mathematics and Astronomy at London University, and a past president of the Society for Psychical Research, can have its own validity. In a lecture some years ago, which I attended, Professor Carr stated that there is a barrier which needs to be overcome between science and the rest. Those who consider only experimental evidence to be valid, i.e., conducted under strict laboratory conditions, clash with others who find well-researched experiential evidence to be of at least equal worth. I think he is absolutely right. Unfortunately, the term skeptical has now largely narrowed down to mean dismissing any body of knowledge, experience, or practice which does not fall within the narrow terms of reference of reductionist scientific procedures. What a downgrading of a good word. Astrology has never delivered terribly convincingly when subjected to scientific approaches. Personally, I've not been the least surprised or upset by this. One cannot expect applying the procedures of one model of reality, say reductionist science, to the practices of another, astrology, to produce much by way of validation. My lifelong interest in science has not been diminished by the depressingly dominant reductionism of our era. A long-time preoccupation has been to bring together in my own mind contemporary insights flowing from the weird world of quantum physics with the ancient wisdom traditions and symbol systems centered round the perennial philosophy, including astrology. Cosmos, Chaosmos, and Astrology by Dr. Bernadette Brady has especially aided me recently. It's a book I've now read several times. Her highly stimulating rethink of the nature of astrology, taking us on an erudite journey from ancient myth to modern chaos and complexity theory, provides a convincing set of reasons why astrology, despite the increasingly dominant reductionism of 21st century culture, remains a lens of great value to look through in making sense of life. Even if, to quote Brady, the real result of 80 years of research into the possibility of astrology being a science is the evidence that it is not. It belongs, Brady believes, to, quote, another worldview. She offers us astrologer and author Gary Phillipson's opinion that astrology may work best when approached and practiced as, quote, a sacred art. From my own experience, I would agree with this. I heartily recommend Dr. Brady's book to those of you who, like me, have respect for science when practiced in an open-minded way, but recognize that life offers more than one lens through which we may view the multifaceted reality of which we are privileged to be a part. As the atomic physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer so wisely put it, and I quote, I love this quote, "These two ways of thinking, the ways of time and history, and the way of eternity and timelessness, are both part of our efforts to comprehend the world in which we live. Neither is comprehended in the other or reducible to it. They are, as we have learned to say in physics, complementary views, each supplementing the other, neither telling the whole story." In the end, we astrologers have each to find our own way of living with the dismissers, maintaining both breadth and depth of study while striving for a high standard of professionalism in our teaching and practice is the most effective rebuttal of this kind of ignorance. Having occupied more than one profession during my working life, I have always found that integrity of action speaks much louder than any words can, although of course the latter have their place. Let the dismissers get on with being ill-informed and narrow-minded. Let us simply get on with our work. Thank you, and I hope you will rush off and buy a copy of this interesting collection of essays, articles, columns, and various little interesting chunks of my own personal life story, only put in, of course, to illustrate the bigger picture of astrological symbolism. Bye.